All right. And we are live. The last word with Lord Cognito, Ebontis, Ty Guy Travis, fresh on that Thursday evening Destiny campfire. And we've got a nice guest today. But before we get into that, let's talk to the cheetah himself, Mr. Ebontis. How are we doing, sir?
Doing good. Just dropped my first ever game review. Granted, Travis will give me a hard time because I didn't score it, but first one, score? Yeah, it's
reviewing those covers. Okay.
Travis doesn't even understand. He's like, that's not a review. That doesn't count.
I've got a good idea. Let's have ourselves a court trial with no verdict.
Wow. And it begins.
I've got a good idea. Let us see what Dominic Toretto is like without his family. A review with no score. What are you? Are you a review at all? Or are you just a man howling into the wind?
Oh, we get a performance today. I love it.
Quite an yeah, I've been playing Thymesia. It's an interesting Souls-like with some good ideas. It doesn't quite stick the landing, but it's a nice little indie Souls if you're looking to scratch kind of your Bloodborne itch. Cult of the Lamb was fantastic. Finished that one last week, and we got a lot of hype going into next week. But we got an awesome guest. So, Travis, what have you been up to?
I have been playing video games.
Did you run out of brain power there for a second? There was like a pause.
Mm-hmm.
You ran out of juice.
I just think I was like, I've been doing something. Video games. Yeah, I'm on my grind. I'm working on my next preview, working on my next review. My next review is a game called Checks Notes. Steel Rising.
Oh, I'm actually curious about that one.
Comes out soon. I'm playing it right now as we speak. So if you see me with my controller, I'm just not paying attention at all to the podcast. And I'm working on that.
Multitasking.
Yeah. Multitasking.
Yeah, that's okay, right?
It's like everyone does six things at once anymore. That's just how life is. So that's fine.
For sure. How about you, Cog? What have you been up to, buddy?
Yeah, man, just podcasting, traveling, all type of stuff. Getting back into the Destiny grind. Obviously, a lot of stuff going on. Getting in my preparatory phase for Arc 3.0. So all the necessary things. And shout out to my Mr. Matty Plays. I was bullied, shamed into playing Danganronpa on my trip.
How was the travels?
And he got the review that he needed to hear.
Is it as bad as you thought it was going to be, or just not your thing?
This is the anime over pontification. Everything is extra dramatic, but I will say the trial mechanic is really good. Shout out to Lady Travis. I agree with some of the things that she was saying, Travis, that conversation we had, but I agree with you with a lot of bit of the overratedness and for its time it must have been great, but it just doesn't hold up the way it does now. That's it.
Just play Ace Attorney. It's a better version.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to play anyway. I got shamed into playing Danganronpa. But anyway, so that's me. But man, we got this amazing guest being so patient.
Indeed.
So, bring him in.
Welcome to The Last Word, episode number 211. This is one of those rare episodes that combines the Bungie hype train picking up speed and a truly special guest joining us around the campfire for one of those celestial alignment level rare occurrences. The news that dropped yesterday about Arc 3.0 electrified the community, to say the least, and one of the developers got to have the best mic drop moment I've seen in a very long time. But tonight, we are joined by a true legend, which still doesn't seem to do him justice. Literally, without this man, all he has done, this show you're listening to right now wouldn't even exist.
Factual.
This man's first game was Contra, and it's fitting because another action game shooting guns kicked off this man's online career. If you spend any time in his streams, you'll find an amazingly welcoming atmosphere and one of the most genuine people on the internet whose Destiny trailer reactions are frequently immortalized in future trailers. The way he has embraced his baldness is a level of confidence we should all strive to work towards, and leans into improving mental health, another thing our guest is an advocate for. Some might have questioned his early aspirations of trying to help charity as an excuse to play video games all day. But when you look at all this man has done, he quite literally put the money where his mouth was. The past decade of streaming has seen this man start out in speedruns of Borderlands 2, to getting top 10 in the world's first Destiny raid race, followed up by standing atop the podium for King's Fall just 1 year later. Years after he became a staple of Twitch, this true white knight has helped raise over $17 million for St. Jude through all the work he has done with GCX. Serving as the charity director for nearly the entire existence of the convention, he knows gaming does good. So let's welcome a man who started his journey on Earth all the way back in the home of Blues and Arches, who only in his mid-30s has accomplished more than most would dream of doing in a lifetime. The owner and chief strategic officer of Rare Drop, chief marketing officer of King's Coast Coffee, relative of a Bungie dinosaur, and with over 1 million followers between many platforms, really is one in a million with his ability to bring laughter, education, kindness, and a safe, positive environment to all individuals around the world. The host of the Ask Broman Show, the Broman Podcast, Destiny Raid Tailgate Party, and honestly just the nicest guy you'll ever have a chance to talk to, or, in rare moments, meet the evening before GCS kicks off and peek behind the curtain. The one, the only, Professor Broman.
Wow. You ever have somebody like talk about you and you're like, oh, I guess I did all that stuff? Like, I'm first of all, like you did your homework, and that was amazing, and thank you for the incredible introduction. I'm honored to be here. It's always a pleasure when someone asks like, hey, you want to be on a podcast? I'm like, oh yeah, sure, that sounds great. It's very exciting for me. And then it's always really cool to be on a Destiny community podcast when big stuff is on the horizon, because that's, like you said, Destiny's where I started. I'm not there all the time, but like every time I think they're not going to get me this time. Like I'm not going to get excited.
They're not going to get you back.
I have my expectations are set. And I tell you what, man, like the Arc 3.0 and everything about like that, and then like the secrecy behind the raid and everything. It's got again Bungie has got me like thinking about, like, well, I can't wait to play again. And then I was like, I was farming frames today to get the exotic like glaive, because I was like, this is a thing. I had no idea. I'm really great at paying attention. I saw somebody post about that on Twitter, and I was like, what the fuck? How long's this been in the game? Oh, sorry. I don't know if we can swear. What the fudge?
Better.
We'll survive. It's fine.
Yeah. Like what? I don't know. So it's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me. Yeah. And I'm, I like that you think I'm somebody who puts my money where my mouth is, because I really try to live like that. Like it means a lot to hear that, just in general. So thanks.
Yeah,
and how did you figure out I'm from St. Louis? Like, I don't talk about it all the time.
Research.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of searching, but there was a podcast probably 4 years ago that you were on. I actually can't remember the name because I closed the window and was listening to it. I cannot remember the guy you were on there with, but it was like 4 years ago, and they just kind of got a little history on you, and I had to go find where somebody talked about your history, so had to search.
That's so cool.
Yeah, man, that's cool to hear it, and obviously just to give you your flowers, well deserved. And I would be remiss before we even start. Is that Lastword wouldn't exist if it wasn't for you guys, and that's a fact. Being a fan of this game, it's funny, as a person who initially started as a hater of the game because I didn't understand what an MMO and a live service model was, and then to finally get into it. Shout out to Sinisters in the chat who told me to stick around. Forever 28 got to 30, and then I do VOG, and my mind's blown. And then at that point, I have this affection for this game, and it's just like, you can't talk to me until you've done the raid, right? So what has happened is I'm trying to find like-minded people, right? People who love the game the way I do, and that's when the journey started. And I remember finding out somehow about GCX and at the time Destiny, Guardian Con, and
I think at that one.
And I'm like, wait a minute, there's a group that people put together, psychopaths like me that love this game and want to congregate. And I was like, I've never been to Tampa, Florida, but I'm going now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. I was out there in the heat of the fairgrounds, and I got a chance. You probably met 1,000 people out that day, but got a chance to meet you. Absolutely amazing. And at that same function, I meet Ebontis. And, I just like, man, this kid, he loves Destiny just like me. And it's like, this is insane. And, I have my little business cards, and it all formulated literally right there. And this is right during Curse of Osiris's time.
Yeah, we
So
started
we're
the
like-
podcast during Curse of Osiris. Good timing,
Yes.
by the way. Perfect
Yes,
timing.
Great timing.
Yeah.
What a good time to launch.
Yes.
We like it sucks, but we love it and we want it to get better.
There's a
We
lot of
wanna-
things to complain about apparently every week, so we did that.
Exactly, but I wanted to give you your flowers personally because the Guardian Con thing, it was such a cool thing, and then for a good cause, bringing people together. Shout out to you and the team. That was really cool. But before we get into that, I did want to ask about also. You're a retro guy. I'm an OG gamer. I see some retro games in there. So tell me about that retro love, man.
Oh man, it's okay. So like I'm still at the point in my life where I'm like having a hard time realizing the stuff I grew up with is like super retro. Like somebody was like, "Oh, Final Fantasy 10, that's like 20 years old." And I was like, "No, 20 years old is Final Fantasy 6." Like this is not like that's, you know, like pixel art graphics and stuff, and like no. But so like you mentioned, one of the first games I remember playing and beating was Contra. Interestingly enough, this is something I don't think I've said anywhere else. To tie into the speedrunning, the reason I beat it was because there was a trick on the first level where you could put like a baseball or something on your controller and hold down the fire button, and enemies would only spawn in front of you and not behind you. What? And so if you just leave it on overnight and you wake up and you got like 80 lives. What? So I was like, oh cool, so like I can die as much as I want. And then I finally beat Contra. Yeah, so that was so I was a huge fan of NES games. I've actually been kind of going back through and playing some of the library on Switch. Lately I'm playing through Star Tropics, which I loved. That game blew my mind when it was out. I was like, wait, it's like an RPG and you can level and it's like got action and it has this weird platforming stuff and like some of the most awful platforming I've ever experienced in gaming. But when you beat it, it feels so good. You're like, yeah, the game cheated, but I won. You know, it was really I fell in love with the I guess people will call it now the artificial difficulty of games where things are super punishing, like you run out of lives on the last level, time to start over. You know,
those are the Souls days. Those are our Souls days.
Well, it's like Mega Man is what started me in, you know, pain in the butt difficulty. You'd have 2 lives. You get in the worst jumping puzzle and whatever it is, and these like blocks that don't, you know, stay around for a while. And like growing up on those types of games, and all of a sudden you like play Bloodborne for the first time. Oh, I'm like, oh, I just need to bash my head against this till I figure it out. I've done this before.
It's not that bad. So yeah, retro, like my favorite game of all time is Chrono Trigger.
You and Ebontis are best friends forever.
Right here.
Oh my god, it's over now. It's over.
Yeah, high five. Yeah, we agree.
High five. Yeah, so and it taught me a lot of things that I love about games when I was young, and I didn't know that I was appreciating these things. I just, as a kid, right, when you play a game that's like really perfect, you get all of these feelings and you're like, oh my god, like this is great. And I remember chasing the feeling of what it was like to beat Chrono Trigger for like the 4th time, because the first time, like you find out, first of all, like multiple endings, which back then not a huge thing, and they were drastically different endings, right? Like if you did New Game Plus and you're strong enough, you could go like right to the bucket in the fair and go fight Lavos with just 2 characters and win. And so that the game's approach to storytelling fascinated me, and I played way too much of that game just to see if there were other secrets that I could find. But the orchestration, the writing, which holds up. Like I've been playing through it again. I was like, why this is like I understand all these adult characters now, and like I was as a kid, you're like, these people are shithead, or these people are stupid. But these people are dumb. They're dumb adults. But as an adult, you're like, oh, yeah, everybody's making really reasonable points that you should have been listening to. And it's not that, but yeah. Next to me, I have Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger, Mega Man X.
It's got a strong list.
Yeah, that one.
And the Kefka guy.
I was speed ran Final Fantasy VI for a while. I could never land the reverse Joker Doom trick consistently. That's where you trick the slots for Setzer into always casting death. And so you can beat it, like once you get him, you can just steamroll like everybody in the game. Doesn't matter what level you are. but the first time you get him is on the crane fight. I'm being such a nerd right now.
No,
it's on the crane
That's why
fight
you're here.
with the airship. So you have to do it like a few times perfectly. And if you mess it up or if he dies during the speed run, you only have like one Phoenix down that you've picked up. So you have like 2 shots there. So yeah, I love that one. What else? I guess it might be considered retro now, but like one of my other favorite games of all time is Mass Effect. Mass Effect trilogy.
Which Mass Effect is your favorite?
Man, I'd get heat for this all the time. I love the third one.
Okay, all right. Okay.
I liked it before they changed the endings. I like it after they changed the endings.
Okay.
I liked it before they changed the endings. Like I had got on Reddit and everywhere and fought with people because I was like, you don't understand the story they're trying to tell. The idea is that you experience this journey. You build this whole persona, your character, you experience the journey, but ultimately all very long journeys end in simplified results that we might find unsatisfactory. Now, whether or not that was their intent in crafting that story,
and the colors.
And the colors. but you in every great hero's journey, there is the choice at the end of the path. You know, do I go home or do I stay out in this new world that I've created myself? The thing that made it really painful and what I thought was a unique writing twist is that the hero doesn't come back from any of the choices. So the only thing that lives on is your legacy, and that choice is like instantaneous. So I really liked that because I hadn't been challenged in that way from a story. Like I had a very visceral, angry reaction. I was like, what the why?
Okay.
But I didn't, that doesn't always flag in my mind, like that a story is bad. If the goal of the author is to like elicit an angry response out of you because something feels taken away from you, like I've experienced that. That's what death feels like. When someone in your family passes away, you get super angry. And so for me, I guess I looked at it through that lens, and I really loved Mass Effect 3. I also love the moment, like the payoffs in Mass Effect 3.
Nice. Yeah, the payoffs are nice.
I only like, oh my God. And then there's like some parts of the game that I'm just finding out, like you
Exist.
you can find out, but like Morden Solis's whole thing, a whole conversation around, and they like, can we talk about how so few games do a good job with sci-fi writing when it comes to heavy subject matter? Like the Krogan genocide is something that runs
the
through
genophage.
all of the genophage and all of this, and you hear every side of the story, and they take you through it as Shepard. You hear from the oppressing, awful Solarians.
Shout out to the Solarians.
Solarians who made awful choices, and like that was the first game. And then the second game, you meet the guy that did it, and he's on your team. And I had so many mixed feelings about that. And so
shout out to Rex.
And so like Mass Effect is another one where it was like the writing, and it made me feel the same kind of feelings I had when I played Chrono Trigger for the first time. So those are my big ones.
Nice.
You're 2 for 2 right now. I can't go wrong with that.
Recently retro games.
Yeah, got one for each. Trav, you seem like you're ready to jump in on something.
I'm so sorry. Okay.
Oh no, you good. Hopefully,
I'm back.
Let me know if you're back.
Yes,
all right, cool.
I'm back.
Chad, you like you was ready to jump in on that Mass Effect talk or something.
Oh, there's too much to talk about with what he just.
That's fair. I mean, like, please disagree with me.
Well, this is a Destiny podcast. I can't.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, we can.
Well, I mean, it's going to be a Chrono Trigger podcast if you don't turn it into a Mass Effect podcast. So you pick.
Yeah. So it's on you.
Decision's yours, Travis.
Travis. Right, I'm just going to go back to talking about Ebontis' refusal to put scores on reviews. No, I'm just kidding. Let's. That's my route. Let's talk about Destiny. How did you get introduced to it? What was that your first Bungie game? Did you play Halo? What was kind of your path there? Let me know.
I played Halo, Halo 2. My best memory, and T-Rex would say the same thing with my brother, was I was in college. Halo 3 came out. We got it at midnight, went back to my dorm room, put it on Legendary, beat it on co-op. It took us it took us
It's the way. It's the way
12
to do it.
hours, 13 hours.
Mhm.
And then after it was over, we went and got it was like the Flamin' Whopper or whatever, where they had like all the spicy stuff on it and the jalapenos and everything. We went and got that. And then like at 8, I think I got really sick and then we went to sleep. But like, but like I was a huge fan of Bungie. And when the game, man, I was trying to remember who was a person who was like, let's try out this beta. Because I remember like a lot of the folks from the Borderlands community want to try it because it's like a new guns and looter shooter. It could be really interesting. And at that point I was like, I have to speed run. Like I just got this full-time career happening. Like I can't like play this other game. I was like, I have 42,000 followers at this point. Like I'm like losing my mind. I just broke like my sub goal to be going full time, which everyone's like, how much money was that? And I was like, $1,600 a month. I'm always very honest. I was like, I had to get 400 subs or whatever. And I had like lived in a really cheap apartment, and I won't say how much rent is because I know how awful rent is now. I don't want to compound anyone's
It's
pain.
been a minute. That's okay.
It's been a while. Okay, so like a decade ago, I was like living in Fort Wayne, Indiana. My rent was $600 a month. My utilities totaled up to like $200. And then I like had to pay for car and food and taxes. And so I was like, I can either make this much money working my minimum wage job overnights, or I could get like the same amount of money trying to stream. And it didn't feel like an insurmountable like number when I got started. So I was like, yeah, I can try this. So anyway, side story, I'm in this position where I'm like, I cannot lose this full-time thing. And I play Destiny for the first time during the beta. And I'm like immediately enamored by the gameplay. I was like, this is so cool. There wasn't a ton in the beta. Like you could run the
Earth.
Yeah, it was all Earth and like it was like Septic Tank Prime Strike. And you just run that one. I can't remember his name anymore because I made that joke so many times.
Septic Tank Prime. That's
Septic
great.
Tank Prime. And you Skepsis, right? And so and I loved it. I fell in love with the Hunter class originally, which I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be the Hunter, yeah, because it's gonna be fun. And I started, and then I played. Once the game came out, I played Titan. It was the third class that I made, and then I was like, everyone else is wrong. I was like, everyone else is wrong.
Let's talk Titan. Let me hear that Titan talk. Now, I'm surrounded by Titans. I'm only Warlock is, but I need to hear some Titan talk from my brothers. Like, what was it about the Titan class, bro?
It was so I will say I was like initially disappointed because I was expecting to be a tank. Like a traditional MMO class. Like I put this guy on and I'm taking double damage before I die, type situation. But that's playing it made me realize like, oh, they're gonna do something with this that I don't expect, right? I guess you could say like I have a weird thought process. Like I'm okay with being disappointed because it makes me like look a little harder at the choices that are being made, right? Like I want to know, like if I disagree with the choice in a game, right? I want to know why did they make that choice? Because somebody thought it was a good choice, and like understanding how that got put together for me is super important because I want to make sure if I'm ever talking about a game, I'm giving meaningful feedback. Like the kind of feedback that's like, okay, so like I think this is what we were trying to accomplish. This is what I experienced. So here you go. But I play Titan, and the first time I dropped a bubble, I was like, that's it. That's what I want to do. Like, I want to be like, everybody is safe. Like, quit freaking out. You like, everybody calm down. No one's going to die. Stand in here.
Step one, don't panic.
Yeah, step one, don't panic. And then then when they coupled that with Weapons of Light, I was like, this is brilliant. Like, not only can you stay in here, but like if we're getting overwhelmed by enemies, it's going to give us increased attack power. Yeah, like we can clear out an area. I love that. So the Titan is that's how I kind of fell in love with Titan. But it was a long tail, but
Love it.
Destiny was not my first Bungie game. I've been a huge fan of Bungie and video games for a long time. And it came at a really unique place in my career where things were moving enough that I had an opportunity to sort of try to start again with a new game online. And I'm really happy it worked out because I was heavily addicted the first 2 years that game came out. I woke up, it was all I could think about. I would I would have dreams about it.
Yep.
It was bad. It infected my whole life, but I still love the game. I loved every second of Destiny 1. I loved farming spin metal. Like all of this stupid stuff, running loops. I loved all of it.
The grind for those swords. The grind for those swords was something.
That was one of my favorite things to figure out, was that you could kill people with the hilt. Like to tell you had to get 25 kills, and it's like everybody's fighting over heavy ammo. And I was like, I bet that there is not a unique bit of code in here to tell this sword that it's only going to count, because they don't expect you to kill anyone with the hilt, if the blade is out. And I remember doing it on stream. I was in a Crucible match, and I was like whacking this like person. I was like, ha, they don't know I'm here. And it like took 3 hits. And then the thing went up 1, and I was like, yes! And I immediately made a YouTube video because I was like, gotta do it, gotta get there first. I just, God, I loved every part of Destiny 1.
I will say this about the D1 public space, just running around opening chests and finding spin metal thing. There's never been a better time for a console to have a feature where part of the screen is dedicated to watching television. Do you guys remember that? The Xbox One had that ability to pull up the slide. Yes. Oh man, let me tell you guys, that was heavily utilized. You could, because that was just mindless gameplay, and at that point in my life, I didn't have a ton of access to secondary screens, and that it was like literally the perfect time to have that feature, because that was mind-numbing grinding, and yet I did it happily every single time when they asked me to do it. So
I loved it.
Great.
I love the soothing, like the loop gameplays are like super soothing for me. Like I'm a huge fan, because then because when I was little, I played video games so I could like calm down and think, and it's like the adult version of that. It's
funny.
Meditation.
No, it's funny. I'm so glad you said that, because shout out to Ducky and the clan right now. Is in there, back for that. It's in my clan. And sometimes like it's therapeutic for me sometimes to just be by myself and doing little farming missions. And it's something about the gunplay combination with the music. And we were very fortunate to have some of Bungie composers on, and they don't get enough credit, man. They really don't. Because like
I agree.
I'm with you. It's something. It's like a zen. It's like I'm in a good place. It makes me feel good. It makes me calm. I could be stressed out my mind, but I could just throw Destiny on, and even if it's a strike or just farming something, I'm all right. And I'm like, okay, things are okay. But go ahead. You was about to say something. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I just wanted to completely agree with you about like I think that composers don't get enough credit. Going back to Chrono Trigger, like the orchestration in that was incredible. It's not something I could have articulated as like a, I don't know, 10, 12, whatever, but it stands the test of time. And the because I played that game in college on an emulator when you can't hear the music, and it is so incredible how just a few notes can just take you right back into that experience. And something that Destiny has always had is, if whatever you want to be feeling, or whatever, there's such a good match between the audio and the visuals of your experience, and that it drives the point even further. And this is like one of my favorite things to argue when someone's like, video games are stupid. I'm like, no, they're very obviously art. Because a good artist knows how to use every aspect of a medium to drive the point home. And when you play a good video game, you don't have to have played other games to know why every part of it is perfect. And Destiny nails those moments where you're integrating the audio, the visual, the sound effects experience. Like everything is working together to make it a holistic experience. And that's one of the reasons why I love when they launch new stuff. like when Witch Queen came out and you got into, and then when Vow dropped after the campaign, it was like it was so mind-blowing, right? You're getting all of this new information about the entire game, and everything feels so grandiose but heavy and old, and like it's just so well done.
Yeah, absolutely. E?
No, I mean, you guys are absolutely on fire because, I mean, you say Chrono Trigger, and when that soundtrack finally popped on Spotify, it was one of the quickest, like, favorite saves that I may have ever done. And I can just literally go click Battle 1, and it like literally takes me back like 25 years, that one track. Same thing with Mega Man 2, Dr. Wily, like track 1. I can play that, and I'm like, yep, perfectly, exactly know where I'm at. And a couple of those tracks, as you said, Destiny has had those moments as well, those specific moments, whether it's like the Regicide mission, and it's like 3 notes when you walk into that room and the lights go bright, and then you finally see Oryx, and then... Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's your brother that has the big... Is it your brother with the Oryx reaction? I can't remember if T-Rex is that one. Okay,
when
it is him.
Running away, screaming,
yes.
Nope. Yeah, that is... Nope.
So, yeah, it's like those moments that we've shared in Destiny, and it's like you're literally splitting the difference in age between us two and Travis, but we've all had a massive chunk, whether it's a third or a fourth of our lives, around one game, which is, I'm like, for one, when I'm like, what am I doing with my life when there's that much of my life around a video game? But that's a whole different problem.
Some powerful math you just introduced into my mind there.
Sorry. One third of your life, Destiny. Huh? Oh, okay. But it's also been an amazing journey for you. I mean, it's like you start with the Borderlands speedrunning. You're early on in Twitch's like explosion, and you're in the right moment, and then when that switches, and then you obviously have the raid race, you have Vault of Glass, this game-changing moment for FPS shooter, and then a year later, like I gotta know, when you go from, was 7th or 8th that you were for Vault of Glass?
7th for Vault of Glass.
Wow.
And we all like went to sleep overnight, got on the next day after farming, and then like beat it in, I think it was like 2.5 hours or something like that. Because we were finally not getting gear checked. But yeah, we were somehow, after doing all that, we were like 7th.
And that was like,
because it was so new, and it was like, we were all experienced veterans who'd played PvE based games with like really messed up and difficult bosses and stuff. Like Borderlands 2 is not known for its super friendly endgame bosses. You know what I mean? Like, it's very build specific. So we had a great team going into that. Of experienced players, and it kicked the crap out of us. We bashed our head against the wall for a while before we were like, we can't get through these DPS phases. Once the Enrage popped up for the first time, we lasted long enough. We were like, oh, okay, well, let's check in tomorrow.
But then I wanted to ask you, when it switches from VOG to stand on the podium for, we ask so many guests like what their favorite raids is, and we'll get to that, don't worry. But to stand on the podium for King's Fall, which is usually very high on a lot of people's lists, where does that moment stand for you? Kind of what was that like? And what did that do for, obviously, like, did that kind of put a pin in Destiny and be like, this is amazing? And when was the switch, like, when did you also have enough Destiny? Like the high versus when did you kind of transition away?
You need to like get so many people on this podcast to interview them. You are like one of the best interviewers I've ever given me questions to. Like that was a great question. So seriously, wow.
Sorry.
Okay. No. I appreciate the craft of interviewing people, and that question was effing fantastic. So for me to go from finishing 7th, and I think we just got I think fell apart for us for Crota, so I think maybe like top 100 or something. But that, and then to go from that experience, then we go through like Prison of Elders, where there's like no real big strong. Well, there's a new type of end game, right? That now we all experience and love, like dungeons. That was kind of the community's first experience with that. And then we get King's Fall, first huge expansion, first huge story beat. And then like a real obviously villainous bad guy, and not that like the Vex aren't terrifying. The existential horror of the Vex and the Vault of Glass is some of the best sci-fi writing I've ever experienced. I love the lore between the lore for the Gorgons in there, right? Like they just they just look at you and then decide you don't exist, and then you don't. Like that is like you can't counter that, right? Like so like there's great like villainy in in Vogon and the other parts, but then we meet Oryx, then we really meet the heart of the hive, right? And we see and we learn when you're collecting the calcified fragments and stuff that these 3 hive gods are literary foils for our guardian classes. We've made contracts with the light to, be wise and intelligent, to be cunning, or to be incredibly powerful. And we find out that the hive have somehow made similar contracts, but with a dark being. And this is their harbinger. This is the guy that knows more than anything else. His name is Oryx, and he's here to end everything. And then he shows up on the scene and just takes out a huge chunk of the Ring of Saturn because he decides to. The whole Awoken fleet, and then we don't, and then Mara's just gone for a very long time.
Minute.
So to go through that whole kind of first year experience with the incredible guys that are on my raid team, Goth, T-Rex, Chariona, Char, Rebelize, and Gunny, it was incredible. It's one of the it's absolutely like the gaming highlight moment of my whole life of playing games. Because it wasn't because it was because it felt like it was the first point in Destiny as a franchise where this dream of what it could be was realized, right?
Yes.
Like I think everybody beat Vogue and they were like, that was great. There could be so much more to this. And I remember spending time like theory crafting, like what are some other ways that we could see these raid style mechanics implemented in an FPS that we just hadn't thought about before. And then King's Fall comes out and you see so many of them. And because there was so much conjecture, stuff you wouldn't have even expected.
Yes.
And I loved that. So, standing on the podium with the guys, for King's Fall, it was like incredible. And if you go back and watch the race, like we were the first team through many of the encounters as well. I can't remember, but we had a strong lead. And that just felt really good, right? Like getting through all the encounters without any help from anyone else, or anybody in chat being like, blah, blah, blah. And so and so just did this. And then you're like, well, I wanted to solve the puzzle. Okay. Because that's why I'm here. And you just ruined that for me. So like we didn't, that didn't happen. And then we got so many really ridiculous, iconic moments out of the experience as well. Like trying to read the hive language, like T-Rex running away and saying nope.
I watched that like 30 times.
Encountering the plunger wall for the first time.
The phallic wall. There?
That's a nice way to say it. The plunger wall. That's the kind. That's the G-rated. And so many. There's such great use of verticality in that raid as well, which we saw some of that in the Vault of Glass, but like it was more of a flat fight. And then now you have this, the final arena with Oryx where you have a lot of these dimensions. You have platforming, you have timed platforming that you have to do while the rest of your team is under attack. Like all of this stuff where you're like, they couldn't do this. That's too mean. But as like as someone who loves game design, I was like, then that was like a big key for us going in was Bungie throughout their whole history are incredible tutorial makers. So if they're showing you a mechanic, that was our strategic approach going into the raid. If they're showing us this mechanic, we should expect to see it immediately and at a higher level of difficulty at some point, like either immediately or later on in the raid. And so we
the only place that didn't really serve us very well was at Golgoroth, which was hilarious because we were like, you got to drop the balls on the thingy. And then I forget who on our team. I think it was, I can't remember who, somebody said at the beginning, like, I think we just stand in the puddle. And we were all like, no, shut up. You know, but you did have to stand in the puddle.
Yes.
And then, you know, juggle aggro and all of this other really cool stuff. And so to go through all that and to come out on top, it felt amazing. I mean, I've never experienced anything like it before. And if you watch the video of us winning, I yell really loud and then I go like this. And then I come back up. That's because I didn't know that I was holding my breath for about 1.5 minutes. And then we cleared it. And then I yelled and I almost passed out.
Like,
I saw the tunnel. I was like, oh no.
Not like this. Not like this.
I was like, don't pass out on stream. That's for later. That's for during Riven. But yeah, like that was definitely my high point. And then to follow that up,
yes, let's get to
such
the low.
a good juxtaposition, right? Like when did I have enough Destiny?
Yes, when did it happen?
I think that Destiny 2, like the beta launched and they had the double primary system.
Oh god.
And that was again, so like using my approach to analyzing stuff, what I prefer, I was like, I see what they're trying to do. I see this like, okay, we want to always have something to rip shields. Like we want to like, I was trying to understand like maybe when the full game comes out, I'm going to see this, but I miss having my like shotgun at my side or my sniper at my side or something like that. I felt like a restriction in
fixed roles.
Just, and things just felt a little more locked in and I missed some of that freedom. That was tough. Then it came out and we got the Red War campaign, which was like, oh my god! You can watch the videos of me playing it for the first time. I cried so many times during that campain, because this Guardian who I built this relationship with, like we get mopped the fuck, or we get
you're good.
Up. We get mopped up immediately with
outside
next to 0 difficulty. Gaul shows up. And he's like, no more light for you. You're pathetic. And you're like, I am pathetic.
And that's one of those moments when you, the walking and the music, when you guys mentioned the music in Destiny,
man.
The music and tone of that slow walk, that's one of those moments that sticks too. And that's one of those really sad things that I know new players can't experience. Anyway, go ahead. But that walking music
I think eventually, you know, just like every MMO, there'll be like a Destiny 2 Legacy Edition servers or something where you're going to have the whole breadth of the game or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a funny experience with the Destiny 2 Red War campaign because I did this was back when the Activision days, so I did an on-site review with for Destiny 2. So I was in like a hotel with a bunch of other reviewers playing that game. And we showed up on, I think it was a Friday night, and they were like, you're going to get to play the first couple of missions, and then you'll go to bed and you'll come back and we'll play more tomorrow. And so we got all the way up through the walk part. And then that was where we ended the night, is when we got to the farm. And I remember that after that, it was like, all right, everybody go to bed and you can play the rest tomorrow. And like all the reviewers just kind of were like in the lobby. We were all in the lobby together, just in the support group. Like, guys, this is really rough.
For
this
you?
is a crazy
therapist on site. So like Destiny 2 comes out. I'm really, really excited. Some of the systems changes didn't connect with me the way that I wanted. Sorry. So like I have to like kind of verbally walk myself through this so I make sure I give you the right answer. So, you know, like Leviathan comes out. That was really fun. Again, super imaginative. I loved the game show vibe. I was like there telling stories about the person about Callus, because he's making us do this stupid stuff. He's making us do all this idiocy, and he's letting you know while you're getting, you know, murdered by everything in there. Like, this is hilarious. Like, and he loves the outcome either way, right? And I liked that. And then Osiris came out, and I was like, I don't that was the point where I couldn't feel the direction anymore. And so that was probably the point when I loved the game and I loved the story. I mean, like, Osiris and his ghost and being trapped in the Vex network and all this other stuff. Again, like great sci-fi that I couldn't get enough of. But it just kind of, it fell flat there for me a little bit. And that was, and I don't think there was a thing. I think everybody is like, this was I didn't have a moment because I kind of slowly fall in love and slowly fall out of love of stuff. So I could say that it was in that process during Osiris, and it wasn't really until I felt like there was super strong direction coming back into the franchise. And when I mean direction, I don't mean like anything that was produced at any point was like of poor quality. I meant like a story direction that I could like resonate with. And I have to say I was kind of like, I was like, let's hang in there for a while. But it wasn't really until Witch Queen came out that I was like, I am 100% bought in again. And it's not like because I had other, we had other stuff going on. I wanted to try, doing some more variety streaming and things like that. And I put so much time in it. And there was a level of exhaustion being known as like the King's Fall.
Yeah.
Folks, like, I won't just I'll speak for myself personally, but like you said, it ranks really high on everybody's list. And so when you get online and you're trying to do a raid and you don't perform perfectly, everyone's like very unkind.
Are you implying those subsequent raid races, those streams might have not been the most community friendly for you?
Oh my God, no. Yeah.
It was a little tough. And we experienced, and then there was some,
you guys got grief, didn't you, at one point?
Yeah, we got griefed during, if anyone watched us during, and what was the big, it was
Last Wish?
Not Last Wish. It was in the city. I always
remember
the past.
Oh, Scourge of the Past. Yeah.
Scourge of the Past. Yeah, Scourge of the Past. We got doxxed, or not doxxed, DDoSed like the whole time. Our team cleared the first encounter with only 5 people because I think I was still reconnecting. I finished that raid on my Wi-Fi hotspot.
Wow.
No way.
So like that definitely, and that definitely put a really horrible taste in my mouth. Because I was like, if I'm at a point where I can't even just like, because I love playing the game, but like part of it is that build up to that big moment, right? Like that payoff really sustains like my engagement with the game, and to have that so kind of sullied by someone else's
that's awful
behavior. I was like, I really need to take a step back if I can't enjoy what I'm doing. And I as an aside, I'm very, very, very happy that Bungie is taking hardline measures against people who play the game that are incredibly toxic towards the developers. Like the no one should have to experience that kind of behavior. And it's really, it's unfortunate that like during that moment, me and my team did.
Yeah. That sucks,
and we weren't the only ones. But I think that, again, Bungie is being very standard setting, because for a long time in the gaming space, it's like,
that's how it is.
Gaming. Yeah. And I don't buy that at all. Just because something's how it is doesn't mean it's how it should be.
Preach it.
And so, they took a bold stance throughout their whole history of being super communicative.
Yes.
The whole industry took a page from that because of the TWAP, because of everything else.
Oh yeah.
Them digital extremes, right? Really communicative devs. And now we're seeing this like, okay, we're not going to let you harass our players. We're not going to let you harass our developers. Like, we're going to do what we can to keep the community engaged. And I think it's an important point to call out, because like, that's what pushed me away. Ultimately, that was the final moment for me. I was like, that hurt a lot. And if I just simply don't play as much, then it won't won't experience
You
that
have to
again.
deal with it. I get it. I
Yeah,
get it.
and so I think that was probably my lowest point.
I just want to ask a quick question before we move on.
Yeah.
Because I'm a Warlock man, so the Osiris stuff does hurt because it was the lowest. That definitely is true.
Yes.
But I wanted to say, you come back. You said that you come back during Witch Queen, and that's when the fire was relit. But my question for you was, were you not tempted during Forsaken?
I mean, like, I was sorry.
Okay.
Like, I left.
I want to get to that.
I went from high point to high point, right? So, like, during Forsaken, I loved the introduction of Stasis, and I did like the storytelling direction of the integration of the darkness. I was like, this is a strong storytelling point, but I couldn't like see through the veil of what was happening enough for me to be like, I'm totally engaged. And then when because I really bought into the narrative around, Taken King.
Okay.
And so I was like, I want to know what's going on with the Hive. Like, I felt like we're just skirting around the primary plot point, and I want to know what's going on. And there were hints, right? Like, triangle ships showing up in Warmind Watch and all that stuff. And those were great. Those were like little crumbs. And I definitely loved Stasis and all that stuff. But it wasn't until Witch Queen came out that I really felt like,
but I meant before.
Okay,
that's beyond light. I meant before that. I'm talking about Cade's death. I'm talking about Last Wish. Yeah, that part was that didn't get you out.
I loved it. Last Wish. 100%. I love Last Wish. No, I have no problems with Last Wish and Forsaken. Like, the primary campaigns have always been just astronomically good, right? Like, when I played through Forsaken, the whole experience with like Marsov being extra dimensionally like locked out of the universe or whatever, and you can like only communicate with her once a week. I was like, this is great. That stuff was so cool. And then, the lore behind the Ahamkara and the feeling the whole time in that raid, when you know anything about the Ahamkara, you're like, everything I'm doing right now is wrong. I shouldn't be doing this. And the thousand voices are speaking to you, encouraging you to do things, encouraging you to whatever. Because the Ahamkara are like evil wish genies, right? Like, they're going to give you exactly what you want. And the Guardians always want a stronger fight, better weapons, and you get that because you make a death battery. On accident, you time lock everybody into torture because of your own avarice as a Guardian, because you can't stop yourself from engaging in that. And so, like, that was awesome. But then I felt like and the payoff for that was I felt in Witch Queen, right? The person who was the person who tricked us into doing that, quite possibly one of the most diabolical, evil, extra like eldritch horror level messed up. Like, the first time you finish the time loop and you talk to the NPCs and they're like, okay, like, I'll get it right this time, and then like move forward 6 months and they're just like, please stop this. Like, I know I'm going to die again in 2 weeks or whatever. Like, I know that this isn't, like, I'm trying to fight this. And so I was like carrying around this guilt. I was like, my character is a piece of trash. Like, I should have been able to control my impulses. And so, to go from that, and then I kind of lost interest because I was waiting for that payoff.
You wanted to go back to that main thread. Okay, I got you.
And that's a personal preference, right? It's just because I didn't fall in love, like the exo stuff and finding out about the back, like, I loved all that. But I'm like the guy that'll look up like how to watch this anime without filler, right? Like, that's me. And so I wanted to focus on that on that. But the Witch Queen came out, and we're seeing all of these, we're seeing Savathun's name. And the first time I saw Xivu Arath's name on any enemy that was out in the horde of things, and I was like, I was freaking out. And then and then they started talking about Xivu Arath, like Eris was, and I was like, we're acknowledging everyone's presence, like, it's happening.
Little storyboard with all three. You see them, you're like, okay.
And so I really liked that, and I feel like every season since then has kind of delivered it feels as it should towards what we would all assume would be the end of the light and darkness story, right? We are gathering forces, right? Like everyone's coming together for the final battle. And it's been very interesting to see enemies become friends in very real ways over the past year. Like understanding that these people that we have been fighting, these other enemy races we've been fighting the whole time, have their own cultures, their own systems, their own beliefs, and they're not awful. Like it's just that there's some diametrically opposed viewpoints, but when under threat of complete extinction, what are you going to do? And what's been cool is usually people will kind of just drop it there. Like it's a tentative alliance. It's like, and after like the big baddie's gone, everybody's just going to go back to messing each other up. But I feel like, real serious inroads have been made, like diplomatically, like Caiatl's relationship with Zavala, and the fact that they welcomed Saladin into their ranks, then he outperformed all of their expectations, earned his own title among them, and he now stands as a guardian in the ranks of the Cabal. And that's like, they are aware that Guardians live pretty much forever. So like he's got a lifetime appointment there. And it's just been really, really cool to sort of see that, because it's nothing I would have expected at the beginning of the story in Destiny 1. Everything was very kind of cut and dry. These people suck.
Evil,
These people are trying to conquer us. These people are trying to time conquer us. These people want to steal all of our stuff. And that was it. Like that was Fallen Cabal and Vex right at the beginning. So, and that's been, and oh my God. And then the Witness, right? Which I think it's just so, that was a huge payoff for me, because even going back to like the Garden of Salvation and all the lore there, where you're talking about, you're getting a metaphorical story about the game of life, and the two primary players are the primary forces of existence, like growth and elimination, right? Life and death. And so to meet and just see, this is another place where it's like the art, right? When you saw the Witness for the first time and the smoke is coming out of his head, but it's like tiny little versions of himself, you get this understanding that this is a being that's far outside the way that we understand the universe, is outside of time, outside of what we've been experiencing. And this is a being that is playing a game that we can perceive, but we cannot understand how the pieces are being moved around. And I was really curious how they were going to make that payoff happen. Because I thought we were gonna fight the Witness. I wasn't expecting like Rolk to show up. And then we learned that like, the Witness has disciples, and like, guess what? Like Callus has been one. And when Callus was telling you at the beginning that he went to the edge of the universe and stared into the void, and the void spoke to him, that was the Witness.
That was the Witness.
So like, it's so like the payoff has just been so huge, that even when I think I'm done, or I'm frustrated, or I'm like, I don't know, there's nothing to do, the second that Bungie just like, it's just like one drop of story, and I'm like, okay,
like, just reeling you back in
all of it. I'm stuck.
I was like,
I'm gonna be here for a while.
Yes, since Curse of Osiris, we've been doing this crazy show, and I think you describe it well as, Curse of Osiris felt like that low, because you had the double primaries, lack of direction. Curse of Osiris felt kind of small, especially compared to some of the stuff we'd previously had. But then it's kind of about the past 2 years-ish, somewhere in that realm. The story started, as you said, direction, that there was a through line, even if the stories had these like little offshoots and zigzags and moments where you step away from the main story. We started to see something bigger. We saw the pyramid ship in Aramis, and there was the tease of somebody getting darkness, and we have darkness. Zavala has a problem with it. Just, don't use that in the tower. It's fine. And those moments, I think, but what you described is when you said Mass Effect has very good sci-fi writing, because they show you all sides of it. And when I don't know that franchise as good as you guys, because I've only played through it once. So the whole rest of the podcast hates me right now, but it's fine. But the moments when you see, like, I mean, literally, like, you know, racism in space, like, basically you see the way it's judged, and then you turn around and see the perspective of the Fallen of what they think of Saint 14. We got that cutscene that he was a horror movie to them. That was the turning point, and I was like, okay, we've done something different now. The story in Destiny now, and it's like, and as you said, it's not like the story has been bad in the past, but it's like Season of the Forge, there wasn't like a story there. Now we're getting a weekly story, something that's told, the Inkblot storyboard cutscenes, which I still never know quite what to call. The way we get to see all of these characters, the fact that you said Mithrax as an ally, how do we have a Fallen hanging out with us? And then now we've got Caiatl, who's a Cabal, and Brackus Forge up there. The Avengers are coming together. And it's building over 8 years to get to this moment. And if they can,
League, that's this year. The League of Villains is also coming together.
Yes, they're forming their squad too.
Yeah, if we have Callus and we have Xivu Arath, and if the Vex somehow get in there as well with the Witness, we have a whole bunch of fun stuff to face in the future. So, no, it's like you described. We just literally went through the history of Destiny, and I love the journey. I'm just sitting here and listen to it again. What I wanted to ask you is, like, not to divert, but I know we only have so much time with you. Destiny has been like a staple, and you can see kind of the ups and downs. And I wonder kind of where also Destiny 2 kind of maybe started to fall away. Is that where you also started to kind of have other avenues of needs of attention between GCX and then King's Coast and all of your other ventures that you got into? You went from, hey, this is a really cool game, and being able to work with like Amazing Games Done Quick and Borderlands 2 to now, like, you are the source of the Destiny charity marathon. Like, how did that whole piece come about and now grow into 17 million for St. Jude and your inevitable goal for even more? Like, I want to know the story of how the charity path started.
So yeah, I got started on Twitch because of charity. I got started on Twitch because I watched it was either a GDQ event or the Hurricane Sandython. But my most distinct memory when I was like, I want/need to do this, I want to play video games fast for charity, was watching I Ate Your Pie play Paper Mario speedrun. I was like, this is one of the first things I watched. Chat was cracking me up. And like that was it. It felt like this this intersection of all of these different technologies. And it showed me something that I knew all along, which was everyone I played video games with was a like really cool person that wanted to make the world a better place, which was the exact opposite of the experience that like I got from the media growing up. Like, my favorite game was Mass Effect, and my parents really loved Fox News, and they had like a month. Their talking point was like, this game has alien sex in it. And you know, so like it was like I knew
mess with the Masaris.
Exactly, right? Like, and they're blue. Like, you know, just all sorts of crazy stuff. But I knew what those things meant to me, and so I finally felt like I found this place on Twitch. So I wanted to get involved, and my goal when I started was to get involved in GDQ. Fast forward, we had the SweatCon or whatever when we had everybody at the bar, and it was really fun. You know, and I remember that. I remember not leaving like the place I was in for like all night. But the next week when we were talking, you know, Corey and Kevin were like, we should try and do this again next year. Maybe we can make it a little bit bigger. And I asked / like requested, because I don't know, I'm always polite. I was like, do you guys think we could do a charity marathon attached to this? I have an idea of, you know, like, we couldn't do it like the GDQ event where everybody's flying in. I think that is awesome, but I don't think like I think that there's another option out there, right? Like, I think there's another way to do this. And I was like, what if we had everybody come in remote? And they all kind of stream from their own channels, and like we raid everybody, and just send the viewership around to wherever, and we kind of like galvanize everyone around a cause, see what we could fundraise. And they were like, yeah, sure. So I made it my project. I sent out an ungodly amount of DMs on Twitter, and I want to say this, right? I understand that like the putting it together was something that I did. But I am, and GCX is nothing without the people who volunteer their time. Sure. Every broadcaster from the very first marathon to now has been part of the success in fundraising. And I am always shocked and honored that anyone would say yes, because I understand it's a great cause, and I understand that there's a lot behind it, but people's time is incredibly valuable. So it means the world to me that people look at what we're doing and they say that's something that is worth being a part of. So GCX got started that way, and then it just kind of kept going. It was one of those things, and I mean, I'll be super frank, right? Like we got started, and I was like, "Wow, $500,000, that's crazy. I guess we got to do this again next year." And it kind of kept, and it was the same way with the physical event, right? We put that on every year to try and gather everyone together. And that's grown. That was really hard to manage through COVID times. It was wonderful to have everybody back. But that, and then King's Coast, and then everything that we're doing in Rare Drop, I guess, I never really. This is why you're a good interviewer, right? Usually I don't have to think. But it wasn't like I didn't want to stream as much anymore. It was more like I'm seeing these other avenues of opportunity that exist for me now, and I don't like the idea of leaving an opportunity on the table. I'm much better at that now. I realize that, and look, if you're listening to me, I'm not trying to like to hustle culture you or anything like that. Like, get out there, work every day, never sleep. If you're tired, don't be tired. If you're sleepy, wake up. But I really wanted to chase down these opportunities and try to make the world a better place, because I experienced a lot of really bad shit when I was growing up.
I feel you.
I didn't have a really safe place when I was younger. And I experienced a lot of things that I wouldn't wish on anybody. But I always told myself when I was little, if anyone would ever just listen to me, I promised myself that I would try my best, and I obviously made mistakes. I would try my best to do good by whoever would be willing to listen to me. So when my channel blew up, and when I had all these people watching, I felt this, I guess, obligation to my internal values to leverage that into something that would be greater for everyone. Right?
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies is A Beautiful Mind, and I really, really like the summation of the like mathematical and statistical theory that he has in there, where it's like what's best for the individual isn't what's best for the individual, it's what's best for the individual and the group. And in a really hyper independent culture, and when Twitch was around, when I got started, it was all like, it was very siloed and individualistic. There wasn't a ton of collaboration, things like that. I wanted to figure out how we could do something as a group to elevate everyone. And I think we've accomplished that with GCX. I know we can always do better. If you're listening to this and you're like, well, I had this experience there, or like, I feel this way about that, I know. And I always welcome feedback, and I want to do better, because that's how we grow. But my heart for all of this is and always has been to prove to everybody that gaming can do good things in this world. because the one thing I was raised with that I do appreciate is that, you know, you can't just say it's not true if you can show people. You know, and so it's one thing to say like, oh no, like I play video games and I'm a good person. It's an entire another thing to like build an event and raise millions of dollars and have a talking point that any kid who was going through what I was going through could say, no, like you're full of crap. Look at what these folks just did. You know, and the more talking points that we can have like that about our industry in general, I think the better, because there's plenty of negative press and there's plenty of good reasons for that negative press. But I mean, the four of us are here right now having a great conversation about art and things that we love. And this is the important thing to kind of elevate. So I think that pulling back, falling kind of out of love with Destiny maybe gave me a little bit more clear of a head to say, I want to try some other stuff and I want to see what happens. And it's been, I mean, like fast forward to now, like it's really difficult. But you know, I don't know how I ended up here, if I'm like super honest. You know, and it's just been kind of saying yes to opportunities. And whenever I didn't know how to do something, I would be like, I will try if you give me the space, or I will learn if you give me the opportunity. And that's been wonderful. You know, I don't have a business degree, but you know, I have all these we have these businesses that we've grown, right? And it's really, I think you can learn how to do anything. Like I don't consider myself uniquely talented or special, because I think we all have, you know, talents and things like that, but I'm not like out here like, oh, I'm a business genius. I'm just a guy that said yes and then I was willing to try. And I think that as long as you approach life that way, you're always going to have a chance to grow and try new things. So that was a little bit of a longer answer, but I'd say falling a little bit out of love with Destiny gave me space to do some other things that all thankfully turned out really well.
Bro. The journey it's cool to see, and just your mindset and the things that you've been through and how you give back, and you felt almost like an obligation to do that. You're truly beloved in the community. You know, GCX is a staple for me. You know, I like threatened my clan. I was like, you can't be in the clan if you haven't gone to GCX. Because you gotta go. It's such a bonding experience. But again, the overall mission, right, which is for charity, from a good place, to see Bungie get behind you guys as well, you know, and really support. It's really cool to see. So salute to you on that, man. The whole initiative, it's a really positive thing. So much love on that.
Thank you.
You gentlemen don't have it. Just don't have GCX in Florida. That's my life.
Oh, okay. Damn, Travis, give me a flip.
Please,
you never know. Okay, you never know what the future brings, man.
Oh, exclusive.
That is exclusive. I mean, I've said it on stream before, but like, I mean, like legitimately, the point of growing any franchise of anything is to try and consider every option that you have on the table. So like,
you know, if you want to debut that new locale.
We don't have a new like
Madison Square Garden. There you go, Madison Square Garden.
We're going to Hong Kong. Get your international get your international tickets. We're going, and then after next year it's Seoul. You know, but just to be super clear, we are at the Rosenchankel Creek. You know, for the foreseeable future.
Nice. Officially, I call it the Leviathan. And just so you know, I came up with that name. It's the Leviathan. I love it. It's all inclusive.
So accurate.
Yeah, like, so accurate. It's everything, bro. It's the Leviathan. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's got it all. I think I stole the last couple questions. So I wanted to not steal the next one.
Gentlemen, you keep going. It's your show, man.
Good, man.
Well, you know, he's been writing these questions down for the past 10 years, so it should be less impressive. He's just don't be too impressed. He's had a really long time to prep.
Don't do it like that.
So there's Travis is great for the humbling. If you meet him in person, though, it's even better, actually.
I have met him in person, actually. He doesn't remember, but yeah, we met. Yeah.
I've recognized faces.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's nobody ever buys that. I'm like, we've met before, but I don't remember anything but your face. They're like, sure.
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 No, I was like, I kind of wanted to ask and see what I know obviously I kind of got a flip side with the Destiny career, but I wanted to ask with regards to GCX, like it seems like it's just strapped to a rocket. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Granted, the pandemic threw a giant wrench into things, and that may be the answer, but I was kind of curious what has been, because I mean, chief marketing officer, chief strategy officer, running the whole charity drive. I mean, have there been any moments that have almost broken you on this journey with GCX? Have there anybody that have almost like, I don't know.
I'll do you one better, man.
Show us your trauma, bro, man.
I mean, I'm I think it's important to be honest about the difficulties of things. And I mean, especially so 2020, I mean, like that was really difficult.
Yeah.
It was easy to make, it was very nerve-wracking to make the call to cancel the event. But when it became obvious that that's what we had to do, it caused a lot of relief. But like the 3 or 4 months, and I like to pride myself on being able to predict things within a reasonable, but when things were popping off at the beginning of 2020, and I was like, this coronavirus thing is serious. Like we're seeing another major country quarantine and lock down millions of people. This has not happened in my lifetime. And then the cases started popping up here and they started popping up everywhere else. I was like, I would not be surprised if, we all have to be inside for a while. And so I was talking about that relatively early on. But just feeling like it was going to happen and then it happening. And we were like tilting in the wind for a long time about what to do that year, because this is like, no secrets if you work in events, but like contracts have to be signed years in advance. Dates have to be selected years in advance, and there's all sorts of assurances. And so when you're talking about canceling an event, you could incur a massive bill from the all of these vendors that they're like, your revenue's on our books because that's how we operate. Like this can't not work. So I'd say that canceling GCX in 2020 was really, really nerve-wracking. I would say, the charity marathon that year was like the best one we ever had. And I think, again, the community was amazing. And I think that for me, that kind of kept me floating that year, because I was like, we can still do it. We can still do good, even when we're all stuck inside. But 2021, we tried to do that at Space Station.
Yep.
And it didn't work out. And then we had so many other side issues that were literally like the first things that we put on our list of like, this is a requirement, and things not being met. And, all of I don't want to like dredge it all back up, but it was not at all what we wanted. And that broke me. Because I care deeply about people's, safety, security, community, all of it. Right. And then quality, like it has to work. And we took a huge swing that year, and things didn't really work out. And that really broke me, because I just want it to work. Right. I just want to have a good time. And so many unexpected things happen. So that was a moment where I was like, I don't know how this is going to work out. For sure. Thankfully, somehow everybody in the community really trusts us and understood that it was just something that didn't work out the way we had planned. And that meant a lot to me personally. But I'd say, this year has truly been one of the hardest years I've had doing all this stuff, because there's no rule book, right? Like there's no instruction manual on how to wear like multiple hats. And like I was talking about earlier, everything that I do is kind of self-taught. So as Rare Drop has grown, and we've had to, because as you grow, like there's a reason why there are certain systems in place inside of companies, right? And so for me, I'm like free spirit. I like to work on my own time. You know, like I have a lot of idiosyncrasies, and so like learning how to go from being a full-time content creator to working in a timeline 9 to 5 based, deadline based schedule, and then like tacking all of the streaming responsibilities on content creation on outside of that has been the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Because it's all stuff that I'm passionate about. It's all stuff that matters. It's all with and for people that I care deeply about. There's like, you know, the first time I met with my therapist like 2 years ago, you know, her question was like, well, what can you put down? And I explained everything that I was doing. And she was like, so how can we better balance all of this? Right?
That's not the answer you expect from a therapist. Yeah. Be like, wait, you're supposed to have the answer.
Well, I like my therapist a lot. I just want to brag on her. She's a really like no bullshit kind of person. And so she's used to catching the bullshit. But if you give her a straight answer, you know, I told her, I was like, I don't have time. She was like, okay. Because that's the right response. Like most people say, I don't have time. And it's like, you don't have time, or you don't have time to do everything you want and watch 5 hours of Netflix every night. Like, which by the way, if you watch 5 hours of Netflix every night, it's the best. It's so great. Please, like, it's awesome. But you know, like it's, you know, all of the communities and everybody. And then there's the added, you know, this is the other part of 2020 that was hard. Like we have employees. There are people who depend on and trust my goofy self to build a company that will continue to provide for them. And like that is a level of pressure that I had not experienced before. Because like if the stream doesn't go well, like it's like me and my wife, and I know that I will be able to figure it out, and I will be able to make everything okay. But you know, you screw up on a business level.
Yeah.
People don't have health insurance. People maybe don't have a job. They have to go find another job. And as somebody who spent a segment of my life unemployed, unintentionally, and not wanting to be unemployed, is awful. So that was another thing at the beginning of 2020 when it was like, how are we going to make it through this and keep paying everybody and all this other stuff? It all rolls up. But I now here at this moment, you know, 2.5 years since that started, I would never want to go through it again, but I am very thankful for how it catalyzed personal growth for me, because I can accept failure now. I can also accept that failure doesn't always come from me, which was a huge problem. And like, I was like a control freak, right? Like if something's going wrong, it's on me. That's like how I was raised. That's how I mean, if you're a broadcaster or streamer out there, like that's the reality. Like if it goes wrong, it's on you. If it goes right, it's on you. And that's great. But learning to accept the truth that I'm not in complete control. There are tons of factors outside of my realm of influence that could change things on a dime for me. And that was really hard. I had a plenty of time arguing with my own ego about that. But in the end, you know, I feel like all of those changes and being able to accept both failure and and like the emotions that come along with it, because I thought like, I'm an emotional guy. I'll tell you I'm sad. I'll tell you I'm happy. If you tune in on the stream, I'm having a bad day, I'm not going to lie to you. Be like, I'm kind of feeling like crap today. And I thought that was enough. But I was just just because I had cognitive awareness of my emotional state, it didn't mean I was actually letting myself experience those things. And if you don't, words are not feelings. Like you can say I'm angry, but that anger in your body is something you have to deal with. And that was really new for me. And I had the opportunity through all of this to learn the lesson of what it means to actually feel my feelings and connect with that part of myself. Which I mean, I'll tell you, it's a tricky one because if you are any level of aware of how you feel, you think you got it. I thought I had it.
Yes.
But you know, thanks to my incredible wife and going to therapy, I was able to learn that it's like safe to fall apart sometimes in a safe place, and you need that. You need to like dump it all out so that you can get back out there and you can, you know, fill yourself up with better things, new things. So yeah, that was the last couple of years for me.
Didn't mean to walk you through that again, but
I like you mentioned at the beginning, I am a huge advocate of mental health, and I'm a big proponent and you know, there's a quote from Stan Lee, right? Everybody is always telling him how great he was. He's these comics, you're a genius. And he says, you know, well, when I write stories, I write them for me. And what I learned is that I'm not that unlike everyone. Like, we're more similar than we're different. And so one of the things with like pain or negative experiences that we like to sit in and think that our pain is singular and it's solitary and it only belongs to us. And in some aspects, that's absolutely true. You know, if you lose a parent or a friend, nobody's going to know what it's like to lose that specific relationship. But when we can be honest about how we feel with each other, we reveal the other truth, which is we're not alone. Everybody is going to have had some of these experiences. They're going to have these emotions. And I've spent my life, even when it's hard, talking about what I've experienced, because I know that if I can talk about it, somebody's going to hear it and it's going to make a difference. Yeah. And that is more important to me than whatever sort of momentary discomfort I experience reliving something negative. And I feel like it helps, you know, and I hope that, you know, sharing all that stuff, I hope if somebody's listening that, you know, give it a shot.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And this has been a journey with Professor Broman. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He took us there. It's real, man.
Well, we do have a game. So I don't know if you guys want to switch. Should we talk about games?
Yeah.
Should we talk? It's like, please get me out of this. Yes, thank you. But this game that we just actually, I don't know if I can encapsulate the way you described the journey through Destiny. That was amazing to go through the start and Vogue and Kingsfall, and then the launch and the down and then Curse, and then we had Forsaken, and then kind of the in between, and then the amazing, like, there was a roller coaster. I'm just sitting here, just like the perpetual thinker over here. But we have season 18 coming right around the corner, and
yes,
as usual, Bungie keeping it a little closer to the chest. But we know when the trailer drops, we know when we get these little, as you said, just that drop of information into the pool that is our knowledge of Destiny, and be like, oh, something new. And we got Arc 3.0, a preview at least. We got a decent idea of what is coming. And I wanted to ask you, gentlemen, I don't need to read through everything, but outside of the hilarious inspiration of Crank to High Voltage, that is not the movie I ever expected to see, but shout out to Jason Statham and all of his action movies. I wanted to ask you guys what stuff you're excited about, what kind of has you intrigued. I know we got a lot of Titans, so maybe I start with the Warlock before we get into all the Titan love. And Cognito, how is the preview for Arc 3.0 settling with you? Are you excited? Do you feel like Warlock's got screwed? Or are you sitting in good shape over there?
I'm looking at it. It's exciting. I like the focus in the amplified and the kind of the build up, right? This constant inertia, getting things to a place, and then speed and killing things fast. From the Warlock perspective, I wanted to see how they was going to handle, obviously, Chaos Reach, then the Storm Trance, and then one thing that always pained my soul was just as a Storm bro was that, you know, I love Landfall, but I would have to sacrifice that for, you know, Ionic Blink, because if you're in your super, especially in PvP, you can't just be figgling around. You're going to get shot at some point, you know? So I need that mobility. So I like what I'm seeing there. little jealous that y'all getting my ionic traces. I was very selfish. That was something that I really liked as our own, but we have to share. We have to share the traces with the groups.
Democracy amongst the Guardians.
Exactly. Little democracy. Look, it sounds cool. I will say this. I want to see more of it in action because I think for me right now as a Warlock, a lot of it is kind of samey on the ability stuff, minus a melee here and a couple things there. But I will say, my jealous eye is looking at the hunters right now. My jealous eye is looking because I'm like, in fairness, they lost Blink from D1, right? And I get it. I get it. We have your Blink, and that was one of your things. So it's going to be interesting based on everything I'm seeing with the hunter. You know what I mean? I'm actually curious about Titan delegation and how y'all feeling because I'm okay. I'm okay. I just want to see it, in action. But I'm curious, like, where the Titans at? Like, how are y'all feeling about what y'all getting? I want to know.
Travis, what do you got, sir? He's got to pray. He's got to hold on. He's got to.
I think I owe an apology to the people at Bungie for refusing to give me back my Twilight Garrison, which was my favorite exotic in Destiny 1 because I am as we discussed last week, I am a Titan with a Warlock brain, and mobility matters to me as a Titan. Back in the days of one hit dash melees on Titans, I was mostly using that just to get around and do trick moves to escape people and turn the fight around and all that stuff. And so it sounds like Titans are finally going to get some mobility. And I think I was on this show crying into the wind about how Twilight Garrison would not be a returning exotic. And I think now I must be hoisted on my own petard and say, very well played, Bungie. I do not need Twilight Garrison anymore, and I'm very excited for this. So yeah, for those who don't know, it seems like Titans are getting some sort of intrinsic ability to dodge, and that sounds fantastic.
Can I complain about one thing that I'm scared of y'all with?
Oh yeah, go for it, because I'm sure we'll have some for you.
Why are we back to one-hit charge up things that one-hit kill with Titans? I feel a little bit away. What that ability that you get to charge? Now, granted, whatever it is, you
where
can't.
You have to stand still.
I don't know how I feel.
You have to stand. You want to come run at me? I'll be over here. I'll be like, all right. It's like Bart Simpson. You got in front of my fist.
Cog. I don't care what you say about balance. It does not make lore sense for a Titan to punch you and you to not die. It just doesn't make any sense. So let's talk about how can we make the mechanic fair in PvP while still fulfilling the fantasy of a Titan that should not feel the same as like a Warlock slap. You know what I mean? Warlock slapping you with its open palm.
Don't do it.
No, he's slapping you with a book is what he's doing. It's still not as good, but
yeah, it should. That's all I'm saying, man. Do whatever you got to do to make mechanics fit the fantasy of playing.
I feel that. What's Broman feeling about the initial 3.0 announcement before the 12? Like when they give us the preview.
I'm really excited. I mean, like so going back to like that, what could Titans be, right? Like I'm expecting like that tank style class or that warrior class, and I think we're really like we've got clear tank with Void. We have the real obvious like paladin style build that we have sort of with this. And now I was reading through the notes on Arc and I was like, that's the berserker warrior tank, right? Like you're going to be fast. You're going to be high damage. It's going to be, I'm hoping it feels a little glass cannon-y. Because to your point, right? Like, yeah, like, okay, so like they're already just absolutely out of their mind, and then like they're going to be just as hard to kill. So I think that this is, like as a student of game mechanics, this is a great place to introduce like you're fast and super strong. So that means something's going to be able to take you out real easy.
I think it's clear based on like the kind of the void overshield situation and the solar kind of staying alive and healing that like Arc and having none of that is going to feel very different right now that we're used to being Brazilian.
Vulnerable would be a way to
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to going back to like trying to play around combat instead of just diving in like a you know, just like give me a box of crayons and like I'll stand here while things punch me, right? Like I'm not going anywhere, bro. Like keep hitting me. I'm on fire. Like you know, like you can't do anything. But to like hiding behind a corner, be like, all right, I'm gonna run out there. You're gonna blind him, and I'm gonna like clear the field, right? Like that's like that kind of high damage capacity dynamic is something I'm looking forward to.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. We gotta get a couple super chats too. We've been missing some super chats.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to let everything go. Mikey Moo with the $17.99. It's like you're ordering off a weird menu. Say Amazing's got
pound. That's a pound, right?
I know it's pounds. It's probably some weird conversion, but it's just like it's funny. Stay amazing, guys. Incredible content as always. MRI Gamer. Respect to the guest for the Mandalorian Boba Fett ugly sweater, getting me hyped for ugly sweater Christmas parties and spiked eggnog.
Yes.
We had the adult dating sites come through. That was wonderful to see that one blocked. Luminous Zero just wanted to say thank you, Travis. Appreciate that. Luminous Zero just wanted to say the last word is amazing. Don't stop being amazing. And to Broman, you're an inspiration and love everything you do. And I think that's all I've got. I know Necromancer Zale, I think you said one too.
Yeah. Try to put that to the test, bro, man. See if you can do something that guy doesn't love. And that's how you know.
Man. Yeah. I wear Christmas stuff all year round. Most people don't like that. I love Christmas.
Big Christmas guy.
I will admit, sweaters are ugly Christmas sweaters.
I love it.
It's good.
I don't like that at all. That is very obnoxious.
I'm wearing this, and then I have my other "It Gets Cold in Here" sweaters, and it's all Christmas.
It gets cold in here sweater.
How long is the tree standing up? Curious.
All year?
It doesn't go down.
6 months. I did 6 months.
My God.
It was back there until last time. It was back there, and it was like June, and my wife was like, "This is 2020." She was like, "We're replacing that," and I was like, "There's going to be an empty space in the room." And she was like, "I'll find a chair for you." And she did. It's great. I love my yellow chair.
Here you go.
Yeah, but that's if you're not gonna like something about me, it's probably gonna be that.
Okay.
Too much Christmas. Hey, as long as you didn't say you were excited that pumpkin spice is now in August or something, that's a little.
Oh my gosh, they tried to offer me some pumpkin spice at the Starbucks by our house. I was like, no, I'm good.
It's too soon.
Want to try a secret beverage? I was like, I worked here for 5 years. Nothing's a secret. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
You know all the good drinks then, so we'll have to see if there's Is there can you tell the audience one that they may not know about that's like off menu but like bomb, but you know, maybe the barista won't hate you for it type thing?
This is a crunch berry frappuccino, okay? So you're gonna get a strawberries and cream frappuccino.
Kind of feeling this.
Get 3 pumps of the toffee nut syrup. If they don't have toffee nut anymore, because they might not, you could use hazelnut, but it tastes just like crunch berries. I consumed 2 or 3 of those a day.
Oh man.
Also, this is my secret hangover cure. If you have a hangover, you go and you order like a cream frappuccino. It's just like there's no coffee in it. And then you ask for, or you get it affogato style. So they put 2 shots of espresso in it, like on the top, and it's awesome.
Okay. We ready? This is after the GCX party.
Yeah. Are you awake? I am wired, literally.
Let's
go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sugar, fat, caffeine. It feels awesome.
There you go.
That is the thing about the late night greasy food, bready, cheesy bread. That's gotta have something to soak up the alcohol. So that's how it goes. Shout out to the after dark topics now. Good times.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'll bring it back to Arc 3.0. For me, at least for Titans, I was honestly probably the most surprised that we get this like grenade like glow up that we get over, and I'm like, that's always a Warlock thing. You guys always get the Warlock grenade love, and then we're over here like, yep, here's my normal stuff, and now we get a boost to our arc grenades. And yes, the ionic traces will be nice, but I will tell you the storm grenade, which I'm sure we're all gonna have. When we get the roaming version of the storm grenade, I was like, that's gonna be a PvP nightmare. Be like, oh look, the hallway, go get him. Just like sicking him on. I'm like, go get him. I was like, that sounds like hell in PvP because if people are hanging around corners, you're like, you gotta move. Sorry, you gotta go. That one I really liked. But honestly, the idea of the spark, the fragments, when the player is amplified, which seems like you're going to be able to do that quite frequently. We don't know if it's 10, 15 seconds, 5, who knows. Arc special weapon kills create a blinding explosion. I just started looking through my Arc exotics and everything.
Bro.
You got Salvager Salvo, Forbearance in the legendary category, Dead Messenger, and that's just grenade launchers when you get all those kills. Cloud Strike that you mentioned earlier, that's lightning and then explosions, like everybody's dead. So, and that's just a fragment. I'm going,
yeah.
Okay.
Not to cut you, how exciting is that from, especially as a person who's now having appreciation for breach launchers with blinding grenade? That's literally like blinding grenade in the energy slot with any arc edge special. That's crazy crowd. It's almost stasis level of crowd control.
Salvager Salvo with chain reaction and blinding. I'm good to go.
Nuts.
Yeah, the couple of fragments. When surrounded by enemies, the player has increased damage resistance. Just, all right, I'm in the mix. Let's go. That's definitely the Titan fantasy just written all over it. You've got Spark of Momentum, sliding over ammo. I will say, I am not like a huge slider in this game. There are like... Whoa. I know. Why do you think I need the PvP help every week? We have a segment where it's help Ebontis in PvP, and it's one of the reasons I don't slide that much. I'm gonna get
somebody whose favorite exotic is Antaeus Wards. I am so offended
that is such. What is your favorite? What is your favorite exotic, Broman?
With their own knife, you can't.
Ooh, that is actually good.
I haven't pulled that off yet. That
sounds satisfying.
So, it's my signature move. I get hate mail for that more than anything else.
Sliding the knife back into their. Oh man.
Sliding the knife the head hit. Oh.
I'm gonna have to do that. I'm gonna make that my stream title or something like killing hunters with their own knives, or I don't know. Drink a bucket of milk. I'm great not good at making YouTube videos. I'm not Mr. Beast.
Yes, there you go. You have to stand in this red circle for 24 hours.
The time it takes a hunter to spin their knife around before they throw it is the exact amount of time it takes Antaeus Ward to activate once you start sliding. It has a little bit of a you see them going hook, you're just like yink, and then the knife comes perfect. So.
That was some really good tech you just dropped. I'm gonna I'm gonna steal that. My favorite exotic. Oh man,
let's go.
This is tough because I like weird exotics.
That's good. That's good. Nice to not have a usual.
I loved. I couldn't get enough of the No Time to Explain. When they re-released that, having as a Titan, having an arc buddy that is just chilling with me all the time, and as long as I've got my gun and I can shoot things in the head, I have a friend like that. I was like, this is great.
Snitches. Actually, I say I got my snitches with me. Go put them out.
Yeah, and then the additional because I tend to get laser focused.
Yep, me too.
But to have an AI companion and you see it drilling the thing you're shooting at, and then it starts doing this, you're like, "What's that?" I loved. So yeah, that's probably my all-time favorite right now. Is that one? Just because I like how unique it makes gameplay. Like when you put that on, it feels like, and that's just one of the things I love about exotics in Destiny is when they really nail it. It's almost like you're playing. It completely transforms your gameplay.
Yeah.
And I love that. I just got the Titan exotic glaive, and you can just spit a bubble wherever you want. That's why I got it. I was playing a strike or something, and I was like, "What's wrong with this guy's ward? It's got a dimple in the top." Did they not inflate it all the way? And they're like, "That's an exotic," and I was like, "No, it isn't. I know every exotic." And they were like, "Do you have the exotic glaive?" And there's an exotic glaive. Yeah.
There we go.
I'll be proudly wrong often. That's.
Yeah. I will say shout out to hunters. Yeah, they're getting blink. They get a new super though, man.
Oh,
and it sounds so cool. The arc themed gathering storm where you throw in the air, hurl your staff into the ground. It's almost like a half Gandalf Storm combination. Upon impact, the staff emits a damaging burst that jolts enemies, and the jolt is where they like kind of jitter electricity and zap each other. Soon after, a giant bolt of lightning strikes the staff and overcharges it, creating a large damage zone around it for several seconds. I just want to see that thing happen.
That look crazy. That sounds amazing.
Like, I'm into that.
Yeah, just lightning strikes happen. I mean, Cloud Strike in gigantic super form. I'm sold. I'm so good. But yeah, Arc 3.0, I know there's always going to be a little bit of fear about how is this going to break PvP. We know that's always going to be a fear because we don't know how it's going to go. But I will say, in general, it seemed like slightly more than cautious positivity on Twitter. Like, a lot of people were fairly hyped about generally something with regards to Arc 3.0. And I think I don't know if they've had that consistent, like, good look for a subclass of the 3 that they've dropped yet. So I was actually very happy to see that.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, we are so close. It's, kind of the point where, blinding and jolting and getting all of these other things being amplified all the time. Just need to hook a speaker up to me and I'm good to go. I know, that's a weird idea.
With the Fortnite stuff that happened this week, can we petition the Kamehameha audio display for the Warlock exotic yet? Or super yet? Do that?
They should license that.
I can't wait. Every single like power scaling video / TikTok or anything that I see from now on, I'll be like, that's not true. I saw Rick Sanchez kill Goku. LeBron James killed Goku. Like, Goku is low tier now. I'm so sorry. Like he's getting beat up by normal people. Like, a dude in a banana suit took him out with a pistol. Like, I mean,
point.
We do it.
That's true. Yeah, the over 9,000. You're like at what, level 2, 3? You're definitely not that high. So you're
no, not at all.
No, that's kind of great. And then the other piece we actually got today with the TWAB to kind of keep some of this going. We got an idea of what the artifact is going to look like, and they've never previewed kind of what's coming. It's always like log in and look at what it's going to be. Overload bows are back, which I don't think is a surprise. It was time to see bows again, and all of the Layman Arc being overload and everything else. Unstoppable pulse rifles, anti-barrier scouts, anti-barrier autos. You're like, fine. Unstoppable shotguns, anti-barrier snipers, overload heavy machine guns.
Finally.
All of those sound perfect. Like, why can't they just be there all the time? Sniper, anti-barriers, they're always standing far away. Great. Unstoppable charges you, sit down. And then overload SMG, that's like, heavy makes sense because you got to hit them multiple times and you always got a lot of, I mean, this is just alone because between Lost Sectors and Nightfalls and everything else, it's always like, oh, what is the champion headache going to be this time? This actually looks like the most reasonable one that I've seen in a long time for options that fit, and I'm kind of happy about it. I don't know where you guys fall on all this, or if you guys saw maybe a mod that sounds exciting to you.
I'm just happy there's no sidearm. Like, it's not sidearm anything.
Thank you. I forgot about that. I'd been scarred.
Stuff always brought me so much pain. I love my sidearms, right? Like, but I don't want to have to use them. I want to use them when I want to be like, like it's the noisy cricket, right? Like, like that's like when I feel like having fun. That's what I want to do. I don't want to be like, all right, time for legendary Lost Sector.
Yeah, that's true. And you're forced to pull out the side of them.
Yeah.
No,
because you want to use another exotic.
Machine guns, man. For me, I've been waiting a long time for that one, man. Just it's time. You know what I'm saying? And sniper is always fun, especially anti-barrier sniper.
Are they all special and heavy, or just the ones they showed?
No, I mean, you got your regulars. You got scouts, autos, pulses, bows for the, kind of mix of the other stuff. But you have 2 specials and a heavy, so finally you can go into a Lost Sector and not be back in the Destiny 2 double primary.
Yeah.
Because especially if I run by myself, like you could run with other people in a Nightfall and you're like, okay, you got this, cool. But if you run solo in anything, you're like, all right, double primary, here we go. Boring. I'm so happy. I'm just very excited. You got stuff like lightning strikes twice as a class ability. Little scared. Not entirely sure what that's going to do. Arc supers do more damage while you're critical, which I'm never usually a fan of waiting till I'm almost dead to try and cast my super. But while amplified,
Yeah.
I'm just waiting to Curious of the Falling Star, Thunder Crash, while amplified, boosted Titan, and hit for, I don't know, 1,000,000 damage or something. That'll be fun.
And another one for my warlocks, bro. Get out that what is it? That storm, the chest, storm breaker, storm trance embrace. Basically, it ramps up in damage already as you get more kills with the storm trance.
Oh,
so I'm
nice.
looking at that. Storm Dancer's brace is gonna be ugly for warlocks. I'm getting ready.
Yeah, I mean, the shoulder charging with Insurmountable Skullfort is going to be a blast.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, outside of the TWAB, obviously hype going into next week. Question, Broman, what raid do you think it is? And also, if it's not the same, what raid do you want? If it's not the same, what raid do you want? And then which one do you think it is?
I actually am a huge fan of Bungie like super subverting people's expectations. So I really would love if it was like Leviathan and like nobody.
Fire stars.
Can't give us
Fire stars,
after these
everyone.
nightmares.
Someone in my chat. Well, that's what I'm saying, right? Like it's back. It would be totally legit to be like Leviathan, but this time we actually fight Callus or something like that. You know, like I don't know.
Bro, man, no, don't put this energy out there like that.
I'm pretty sure I'm wrong because you know everyone's got like interviews and stuff from the past, and they're like, no, they said this, and I'm like, yeah, you're probably right, but I think you know,
right.
if I'm right, everyone is gonna be like, how they're gonna like take T-Rex in for an interview or something, be like, so like, you want to explain what happened?
Be like, hey, we need you to call your brother and sit down. We need to understand.
Yeah, what was this guy doing?
Now we'll say, what if they brought back all 4 though? And they're just like the Leviathan raids, and the challenge mode is you have to do all of them
back to back. Shut down the ship. Shut down the ship. That's a challenge. That's a challenge name.
Yeah.
Shut down the ship. Yeah, no.
I love that.
I'd have a fun time watching. I'd have a great time.
Yeah, because you're hosting the tailgate, right?
Yeah, do the tailgate. It's part of the not having the time to keep up with everything. But yeah, we'll be doing the tailgate. So if you're looking for a place to hang out and kind of watch all the action and have some discussions that you're not going to get watching, like obviously, like I've got one of them. So we like to do the coverage. We like to keep it positive. It's about everybody who's attempting. It's not just about who's who's in the lead, although obviously we do try to cover that. We like to break down encounters. When people are figuring stuff out, nobody is going to take their time to be like, okay, Chad, so what we're doing is that when this totem turns blue, we do this. And then when it turns green, you do this. So like we try to take that information and like break down the encounters so you know what you're looking at. Or if you're watching with your family or your significant other or somebody who's like not a huge Destiny fan, that's like, I don't know, there's bullets. We try to keep it fun. So yeah, we'll be getting going around I guess like 12:30 Eastern our time. We'll be covering it, covering the day's events. Thankfully it's not whatever it is, we do know it's not brand new, right? So it won't be a 24-hour show. And hopefully we'll get to
subverting our expectations, bro, man.
Unless it is the clear the ship challenge, in which case
I
great
prefer...
night.
You're like, and this is the end of the show. Feel free to support all these wonderful people. Good night.
Yeah, go hang out.
A name for the stream if it does end up being that challenge.
Yes.
Leviathan.
Yo.
It's so good. I love it. Yeah. No, I'll send the checks in the mail.
I was like, Travis is the dad we all didn't know was as good at dad jokes. So yeah.
What do you all think it is?
I think you're going to be reliving your glory days, bro, man.
You think it's going to be
King's Fall? That's what I think.
It's going to be King's Fall and be like, all right, let me tell you how those trades work. They haven't even started yet. That's okay. I've got this.
Let me tell you what we're going to see. Exactly.
Mhm.
In detail.
Yeah,
If it is King's Fall and contest mode will be active, which encounter do you think will actually stump people the most? Because they're going to know what to do, but where do you think the level contest piece would hit them the hardest?
I would say contest is always the most brutal part. Like fighting through the scaling is it takes trivial encounters and turns them into impossible monsters, right? But if I were to think about places that would be like increasingly difficult with the introduction of champions, my mind immediately goes to the final encounter and the light bearing ogre spawns. If they are all champions, that would cause people to kind of refocus their gearing strategy and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of places where you could introduce champions to make things even more complicated. Like some kind of champion explosive thralls and Golgoroth or something like that. Like that would just be awful. Like I would cry. I'd cry the second I saw it. So I think, but if I were to say like what would be the most difficult, an encounter that I feel like people forget often, at least I do, whatever time we talk about it, is before War Priest, you have totems. Right?
Totems. Yeah,
totems. Totems is essentially like, a 7 to 8 minute horde fight, and that's really hard in contest. And then you put like if the boomers that come out on the ledge are all champs, that's also tiers. Like, so
I could see some anti-barrier sniper requirements up there.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's why it's coming back. That's why they're comfortable with it.
Yeah, so but I think that, in general, the introduction of champions is gonna make every encounter worse. And
Please
I'm
just make them
really
Life Guardian. Please.
Oh yeah, or if there's like light bearing. Oh my god,
that would be crazy.
Honestly,
thanks.
I would love to see
fire.
light bearers because it's Hive. It would actually fit though, and we haven't seen them in a while. I miss the fact that you didn't need to use the sniper anti-barrier weapon. You're like, but he popped a super, and it doesn't matter what I'm holding. I just crapped my pants. Like that's the problem. And if that happens, I would be curious if they would do
really
that.
Tough.
Yeah,
it'll certainly be interesting. Whatever they bring back, they're going to have the kind of changes that like people. You're gonna be like, I know how to do this. That's how everyone was like before VOG. It was still messy. it was still a problem.
Oh yeah.
A quick couple of super chats. That random guy in the comments, that's literally his name. $5 super chat. Bets on next season theme will be somebody's hoping Rasputin. Shout out to Gaming Forte. Broman, been following you from the beginning. Appreciate what you bring the community, but I'm still looking at you Titan side eye. So hashtag a hunter's life.
Hunters.
I've said mean things about hunters. Destiny 1, I would rage out Trials of Osiris when they got whatever the stompies or whatever. I'd be like, stop jumping! Stop jumping! I'm just gonna jump! Like
it took them 5 years to nerf that.
You tickle his foot and then they just build a skyscraper. That was hunters in Destiny 1. Like, oh, jump. Like
They were playing Fortnite.
Yeah, exactly. Just jump in the air, they hide behind something. I hated it. Sorry. See, and that's why it's okay. I wouldn't look at me awesome all the time.
Well, as I know we're running low, I want to hit you with a couple random rapid fire questions. Top 2 raids of all Destiny franchise.
I would say King's Fall. And for me, I would also. This is so tough. It would be between like Last Wish and Vow probably, but I think I'd lean toward Last Wish because I really enjoyed the difficulty of being forced to communicate with your team with new information that was just presented to you, right? Like all the call outs throughout that raid, like, and then the limited perspective on the call outs to be like, it's like Angry Bird with Snake and you got to go left up the stairs, my left. Like, like it was really like those kind of moments were really, really cool. And that raid challenging communication in that way probably puts it in my top 2.
Good choice.
Favorite sandwich.
Oh man. Well, everything's a sandwich.
Oh no, we got a whole cube rule argument.
No, no, I'm not gonna do that. But I would say to answer your question, man, you know, I really, oh man, now I'm just thinking about every sandwich I ever had.
I just made you hungry. I'm sorry.
Oh no,
I'm hungry,
I'd have to say like day after Thanksgiving, like turkey leftover sandwich. I'm always gonna like. It's special. It's like only once or twice a year. You got all the turkey with the gravy,
or
you know,
do that
and then like you make whatever else you want on the side. It's good.
Nice. And then favorite breakfast food.
Oh, this is tough. I would say my favorite. I gotta go waffles. I gotta go waffles. I love waffles. You got the compartment. Anything goes in a waffle. Yeah.
Waffles are a device for so much creativity.
Yeah, and like you can put anything on it.
Yes.
When Amy and I moved down here for the first time, we went to a place that makes.
Inside joke. We tease E because he don't like condiments.
I'm a picky eater. It's a thing on the show, and they have fun with that.
Terrible. We have problems with it.
Yes.
But there's like a place down the street that does like a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich, but it's like in between two waffles.
Oh,
and I
there you go.
it once, and I could only get through half of it because the waffles get dry right without the syrup. You're like,
yeah, you need a little something in there. Torchy's has like a breakfast taco that has like eggs, bacon, like a chicken tender, a waffle. But if you get the syrup on there, yeah, it works. Gotta have the syrup.
Yes.
Oh, syrup. Interesting.
Can you smack them for me, please?
Wow, you need syrup. That's interesting.
You don't understand, bro, man. He's such a picky eater. He's the only Titan I know who will only eat 2 colors of crayons in the box.
I knew that was coming when you started that. I knew that's where you were going.
That's it. Picky.
All right. Well, chat, you guys have been absolutely fantastic. Tomorrow will be Xur. That's a whole different thing. It is the last Xur of the season. You got a few days to get ready for the season. The broadcast will be 8 a.m. Pacific for the pre-show, likely, shouting at artists and community members and, dev stuff. They'll do some cool things in the pre-show, so it's worth the watch. 9 a.m. Pacific, it will be the actual big showcase. I don't know if it's 20 minutes, 40 minutes, 2 minutes. We'll have to wait and see, but lots of excitement to come. It has been an absolute pleasure, Broman, to have you with us this evening for just an absolutely amazing chat. Like I just sat here, I got story time tonight. It was absolutely amazing. So at this point, I know we're at the end of the show, so the floor is yours to tell people where to find you, what to do, what events they can do, what coffee the whole thing. Just tell everybody.
All right. Hi everyone. I'm Professor Broman and I'm bald. That's my pitch. You can type Professor Broman into any search engine. You'll find all the places you can consume my content. The big thing that's coming up is obviously the Raid Day tailgate. So, if you don't have a team that you're watching, or if you want to watch your team and you want to have side commentary, we would love to be the side commentary for you. That's starting at noon on the 26th. If you're looking for coffee, a coffee company, it's King's Coast Coffee Company. We're on Long Island, New York.
In LA? Yeah. Well, I gotta pull up. I didn't know you was in LA.
Yeah, we're in Bohemia, on Long Island. We ship from there. If you want fresh roasted coffee, we got the best stuff. I like it a lot. And as always, we talked about GCX a bunch this night. We got GCX happening again next year. One of the really cool things, if you want it exclusive, here you go.
Let's get this exclusive.
One of the really cool things that we are now empowered and able to do, because our charity director is Sam Lupo. Yep. With her on board, we kind of have the bandwidth to do more stuff. So please keep an eye on the GCX event Twitch channel. We will be doing more than just the marathon stream leading into the next year. We had a Big Cheese joined us last week, but we have a lot of really cool things planned that'll be happening on that channel and around GCX, fundraising focused and community focused, going on throughout the whole year. So if you're a fan of the good that we're doing, we're going to be trying a lot of cool new stuff this year, so stay tuned to that. And from me to all three of my wonderful hosts here, thank you all so much for your kind words and for sharing your community with me. I really appreciate being here today.
No doubt. Absolute Pleasure to have you again. Storytime was amazing. Hearing your journey, absolutely amazing. And man, you're a pillar. You're a pillar in this community, and you brought a lot of people together. The show would not, the last word would not exist if it wasn't for a lot of your charitable efforts. So we want to pay it forward to you. Tremendous, man. An honor to have you at the Destiny Campfire, the legendary Professor Broman in the building. Oh man, this is fun. This is definitely a highlight for me personally. So I always want to give people their flowers while they still here. So salute to you.
Yeah, Travis.
Yeah, Bremen, nice to talk to you again. Great guy, great storyteller. Let us just kind of sit and listen this week, which is a nice change of pace. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at TyGuyTravis, and you can watch all of my reviews and previews and content I make on IGN.com. Other than that, happy to be here, happy to be playing Destiny, and very excited for the new content next week. It's gonna be a great show. What do you got, Cog?
Yo, check out Iron Lord Podcast every Sunday is the Lord's Day. We'll have a nice one. We'll have Brad Sams on this week. So we talk about everything that's going in the industry, Embracer Group buying everything, all the little...
everything. Like, buy Lord of the Rings. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. We just own everything. All that good stuff. And all of the latest, news in gaming and consoles. Also appreciate all the support for Defining Duke. Shout out to Mr. Matty Plays. We have now jinxed every major 2022 gaming release into a delay, and the streak continues. He jinxed my Evil West. I got him back on High on Life today. Life is good. So we doing that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. And E, what you got going on, man? Besides, what reviews you doing next?
I don't know what review I'm doing next. I think I got to cover some Destiny stuff next week. I think I'm a little booked, but
come on over to the gaming down there. You're a reviewer now. Come on.
Oh yeah, just review it. I'll just set Destiny aside and then go over here. But Destiny is going to pull me back in like 3 days.
You don't want no part in the sea. Go back to
You don't want this life. You got early access, no help. You got to do it all, and then you got to come up with scores. What are those? No, absolute highlight. Yeah, the show wouldn't exist without you, and from meeting you in person, peeking behind the curtain at this year, and it was just like, hey, and you're like, you want to go look? I'm like, yeah. as absolutely nice as you would expect, a genuine guy, and just thank you so much. It was our absolute pleasure for having you on the show. So in our wonderful fashion, when we wrap up the show, we all try and say the last word together, which over Discord never works, but as we do for this episode, it has been the last word.
Last word.